Microsoft, yes, the creator of Windows, has officially built its very own Linux distro. I mean, for anyone following the tech space, this is a mind-bending reality, but it is very real. Today we're going to look at exactly what this means, what it actually looks like, and honestly, the incredible irony behind this whole shebang.
We've absolutely got to start with a hilarious take from tech commentator Sam Tucker. It almost feels like Microsoft employees just got so sick and tired of waiting for Windows updates to fix things that they threw their hands up and said, you know what, we're just building Linux instead. Obviously, that's a bit of satire, but it perfectly hits the nail on the head regarding how the tech community is feeling right now. Why on earth is Microsoft building Linux?
Section 1. Meet Azure Linux 4.0. Fourth time's a charm.
Okay, so this new release is officially called Azure Linux 4.0. And yeah, you heard that right, version 4.0. Apparently, it took Microsoft 4 whole tries to get this right. But regardless of the iterations, it is finally here. Now, the absolute crucial point you need to know is that this is not some desktop replacement you'd install at home. You aren't going to be wiping Windows 10 off your personal laptop for this. It's actually a highly specialized operating system built entirely for cloud infrastructure. They know we're all running macOS, Ubuntu, Mint, or whatever else on our home machines, so they designed Azure Linux strictly to run cloud stuff on cloud computers.
Breaking down its core traits, first off, it's derived from the popular Fedora distro. But get this, perhaps the most shocking trait for a Microsoft product is that it's completely free to use. Literally free. It's basically like Windows, except you finally get an OS from them without that annoying activation watermark hovering in the bottom corner of your screen forever. It's completely laser-focused and optimized exclusively for cloud computing environments.
Moving on to Section 2, Tech Space Time Travel, or as I like to call it, partying like 1981.
There's actually a massive bait and switch here regarding the user experience. So, the documentation out there mentions the graphical component of WSL2. Naturally, you might go into this expecting some sleek, modern 2D graphics, right? Well, the reality is a little different. It turns out Azure Linux doesn't actually use any 2D graphics in its interface at all. It is completely text-based. Honestly, it feels exactly like booting up a 1981 DOS interface. We are officially back in the 80s.
You really just have to laugh when you realize they stripped out all the 2D graphics. It prompted some brilliant commentary, with folks in the tech community joking that Microsoft deliberately made an OS worse than Windows just to make Linux look primitive. Though, let's be real, Linux is perfectly capable of making itself look bad on its own sometimes. But jokes aside, a purely text-based interface actually makes perfect sense for a lightweight cloud server, even if it is incredibly jarring for those of us used to modern desktops.
That brings us to Section 3, the great cloud irony. Linux runs the cloud.
Now, despite selling a dedicated Windows Server product to businesses literally all around the world, Microsoft's own back-end infrastructure heavily relies on, drumroll please, Linux. Microsoft's own servers run mostly on Linux rather than Windows. They are literally depending on open-source technology to power their own massive cloud operations.
There's a great quote from the community that perfectly captures just how absurd this situation is. Imagine Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella typing up his daily corporate memos using Apple Pages instead of Microsoft Word. It just feels entirely unnatural, right? Well, it's the exact same feeling here. It is so weird for the Windows giant to depend on a rival's architecture to keep their own lights on. But at the end of the day, performance dictates technology, and in the cloud space, Linux is clearly doing something right for them.
Let's hit Section 4. Bare bones versus bloatware, slimming things down.
It is beyond ironic that Microsoft successfully stripped down their Linux software to be sleek, ultra-efficient, and limited to exactly what a cloud computer needs. Meanwhile, their actual flagship Windows OS is notoriously bloated to the absolute max. I mean, in recent Windows updates, they literally managed to break the recycling bin, the email client, and the C drive. So maybe Azure Linux is just them genuinely trying to slim things down and get back to the absolute basics.
The sarcastic conclusion from the tech world is pretty stark. From an OS perspective, the argument goes that Microsoft just inherently struggles, and now they are bringing all that chaos right over to the Linux world. They've ruined their own operating system, and now they're coming for yours. It's such a funny, slightly cynical way to look at a massive tech conglomerate stepping onto open-source turf. To wrap up this explainer, I'll leave you with this wild thought. How long is it going to take until Microsoft starts doing what they do best and packages this free open-source software into ridiculous paid tiers? Are we going to see a Linux Pro, or maybe a Linux Home Premium? Or, hey, should we just hold out for Linux Ultimate? While Azure Linux is strictly for the cloud right now, the collision of Microsoft's business models with Linux's open-source philosophy is absolutely something you'll want to keep an eye on.